What are you learning? How are you learning? How are you taking advantage of your knowledge? I've been a student of sales since November 11th, 1971. I was listening via a brand new voice technology called cassette tape to a guy named J. Douglas Edwards who was uttering this sales tip. If the customer says, "Do these come in green?" you say, "Would you like them in green?" Cool. That's the day I realized there was a science of selling, and I wanted to learn more. I will admit that most sales skills and sales tips taught in the 1970s were somewhat manipulative, but at the time, that's all that existed. Over the last 40 years or so, sales models have changed. Probably the best example of change I can offer comes from a column that I wrote several years ago about the Benjamin Franklin close. You can get the column by going to Gitomer.com and go to search the keyword Franklin. Basically what the column says is rather than use the old time-worn manipulative sales close on the customer, try using the old Benjamin Franklin close on yourself before you go into the sale as a means of preparation. I've read all or portions of hundreds of sales books over the past 40 years, but most of what I've learned has come from the spark of an idea gleaned from a book, and then it was somewhat altered once I got out into the field and actually had to apply the strategy, kind of like you. All sales books offer some form of valuable information. All sales experts offer some form of valuable information. As a student, your job is to determine how that information fits into your skill set, your environment, your marketplace, and your customer interactions. Learning sales skills is a matter of understanding, adoption, application, and a bit of tweaking. In my experience, I found that unless the tip or strategy is comfortable to me, I'm not going to use it. It has to fit with my personality and be in the framework of my comfortable conversation and ethics. Here's a short piece on how to read. As a reader myself, I'm challenging you to look at the ideas that you read with an open mind and strike from your mind the phrase, "I know that." Most people, salespeople especially, already know everything. Problem is, they don't do it. How about you? I would rather have you ask yourself, how good am I at that on a scale of 1 to 10? Then ask yourself, how does this information apply to me? Do I agree with this? Am I comfortable with this? Does it fit my personality? And finally, is it me? If the answer to all those questions is yes, then ask yourself the following 3 questions. Is this in the best interest of the customer? Will this lead me to a long-term relationship with the customer? And finally, the true self-test question, will this make my mother proud? Jeffrey, what about CDs and the internet, YouTube, podcasts, and other forms of accessing skills and sales skills information? They're all great. They're just not as great as reading a book. Of course, there are multimedia forms of sales information that you can access, but none are as flexible as reading. Reading gives you a chance to move at your own pace. Underline if you're not reading an ebook. Scribble notes in the margins. Maybe you have an ebook and a laptop. Reread what you may not understand, even dog-ear the important pages and where you left off. Reading time is usually quiet time. It gives you a chance for reflection. Whenever you choose, you can stop and think about the meaning and the aha, or you can adapt and apply what you've read. The messages offered in books are from a combination of men and women, experts in their field, who've actually used these methods and strategies to build upon their own success. And your job is to adopt them, adapt them, and turn them into money. Got book? Maybe you should try to read a book a month.